Hey guys, hey, welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the first time. Okay. If you're new here, my name is Bram. I talk about all things fashion, luxury, lifestyle, shopping, and travel. So if those are things that are interesting to you, I would love it if you would hit subscribe, become a member of my growing YouTube family. Also hit the bell notification so that you are notified when I upload videos, which is typically, I have my edge, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I know it's early, but a thumbs up would be super helpful. So I know that the lighting is kind of crazy. So we just had like a massive storm. It's been storming here for like a few days. And now it is like blindingly sunny. So yeah, that's all. So yeah, if it looks a little weird, that's why. I don't know. It was like muted a moment ago, and now it's like very sunny and whatever. So excuse that. Okay, other than that, let's get going. I wanted to talk about I'm itchy. Sorry if I'm like constantly like scratching myself today. I don't know. I don't know if I have like allergies or what, but I'm like super itchy. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the 2025 trends that I'm loving. So if you have seen my videos prior, I want to say, I don't know if it was the last one or one of the last like 2 or 3 videos that I posted was, I believe, well, yeah, probably like one of the last 2 or 3 videos I posted was 2025 trends that I was going to be skipping. So I figured let's do a version where I talk about what I won't be skipping and what I'm actually really, really liking. And I usually do like trends because even my even my video about skipping things, it was really more so skipping things for my body type and like whatever other reason than for actually just like really disliking the trend. I do tend to like trends quite a bit. And I'm definitely like I'm the target market for I think a lot of sales like fashion and just like clothing type of sales or accessories, blah blah blah, because I am very easily persuaded to be like, oh, let me give that a chance. You know what I mean? So yeah. So anyway, here, if you hear yelling in the background, there's like a little like communal area right outside of my office, and there's a bunch of women down there apparently having like a little coffee party, and they're just like screaming. They're having a good time, so we can't be mad at that. But yeah, they're loud. So if you hear anything in the background, hopefully this mic is taking care of drowning out that sound like it's supposed to. All right, so let's talk. This is not going to be a long list. I know I always say that, and then I'm just like blah, 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 blah. But I think I've kept it to a pretty good minimum. Yes, so that's all. Number one would be boat totes. So I don't know when or why this trend kind of like crept up on me. It was very recent though. So this is not like okay, let me go back to the beginning. I go through phases with bags. And while I always like designer bags, I go through phases where sometimes I don't want to spend any money if it's not a designer bag, just because I know I'm not going to wear it. And then I go through phases where I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I do like contemporary or mid-range or something like that. And then I will focus on that. Like I go through phases for whatever reason right now. And I think it's just because I'm liking the overall trend of less designer logos. I love a logo. I love designer items. I love vintage pieces. I just like fashion in general. But I'm really liking this whole, I was not I was a fan for a moment of the quiet luxury whole thing for a moment until I realized that I can't do too much quiet luxury. Now, I think it's nice sometimes if you're going to a certain place, somewhere. I don't like I don't like to claim an aesthetic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't, because I definitely flip flop. I don't like to say like I like to dress like this, and then that means that I can't dabble in other types of clothing. I feel like I am a maximalist to a certain extent. Yes, I love rhinestones. I love sparkly things. I like pearls. I just like shiny things in general. I am more into like street style or casual clothes, but I have my moments where I want to dress a little bit sophisticated or whatever. So all of that to say that I don't like to like claim an aesthetic and like just run with it forever, because fashion to me is fun because we're able to express ourselves in different ways at different times, and it doesn't all need to be like that's my style, because I think of like many things as being my style, and sometimes things will catch me off guard and I'll be like, oh wait, maybe I like that. Actually, I have something coming, guys, that I was kind of surprised that I really, really liked, but I did, and I'll show it to you very soon. So, anyway, that being said, when this boat tote trend kind of like reared its head, I don't know if it's a trend either. Like I have my Trader Joe's tote that you guys saw that was blinged out by Urban Bling, and I absolutely love it. But I also like the simpler version. And when the Boatkin came out back, I don't know, it must have been like six months ago, 8 months ago or whatever, that we first saw the Boatkin, I believe. And I thought it was really great, but I wasn't going to spend $1,500 on it. I had talked about this in a previous video. But I started like, it just kind of sent me down the rabbit hole, I guess, of sort of like looking for alternatives. And while I was going to get myself an alternative to the Boatkin, I decided on just getting the original LL Bean, and I ordered one. I have it here. I'm going to show you. And I've since ordered two more. So when those come, I'm going to show you. But like the price is ridiculous. This one was like 40 bucks. I chose the green. I love green. So I chose the green in this one. It has my initials on it, and I love it. It's the mini size. This is absolutely perfect. I kind of retired my Bric-a-Brac, my Hermes Bric-a-Brac cases. I have an orange one in New York that's been there forever, and I don't know when the last time I used it was. And I have a black one that's here, but I don't really like black, and I find that it gets very dusty, or like I have a white cat, so like the white cat hairs will show up on it. So I've kind of sort of retired it. I used to have quite a few colors. I've since sold everything but those two. But I feel like this one, like I sort of like it more, but it kind of fills that space. It holds just as much as the large Bric-a-Brac, but it's a little less, I don't want to say pretentious, because I don't think of the Bric-a-Brac as pretentious, but I guess it sort of is because it's Hermes, but I'm not opposed to being pretentious in any way. If it's all for fashion fun, you know what I mean? Not like really pretentious, but you know what I'm saying. But I got this and I freaking love it. So it holds a ton. Like I'm going to show you. Hold on. Hopefully nothing will drop out. But like, I mean, it holds absolutely everything that I need in there and more. If you don't want it monogrammed, it is a little bit less. I think it's $8 to monogram it. But I got my BB. I also, once I got that, I was like, wait a minute, I think I need more. So I have another one coming with just a B initial, and I'll show you guys that when it comes. And I got a medium version as well. And I'm kind of obsessed with them. I love the fact that you can kind of like, it's sort of like a blank canvas to a certain extent. So I think it looks put together. I think you could wear it like on a European holiday and like feel just as put together and like chic as you would with a designer bag. But it's a $40 boat and tote. Plus the canvas is like solid. This thing is not like, okay, so my Trader Joe's bag, I know that thing was $3 or something like that. Something crazy like that, right? I think it was like $3.50 to $3. This is solid. So if you've never felt the boat and tote before, but I had not, it is like very thick canvas. And I think it's called Lyman canvas. I don't really know. I'm not an LL Bean girl, and I'm really not I'm not preppy or anything like that. So I think that previously I didn't even think about it. It wasn't something that I even thought about. It wasn't like, oh, everybody's wearing that. I've never noticed them before. Or like it never resonated. Like, of course, I've seen people with these totes before in my life, but like it never resonated that was like, oh, wait a minute, that's cute. But somehow, some way, I don't know what happened. I ended up on eBay. I think what happened was I think because online it's like I feel like a lot of times I don't know how I get someplace. I think, it's like subliminally, it's like, the messages are just kind of like thrown at you on TikTok or Instagram, right? And I think what happened was somebody randomly posted a link to a boat and tote on eBay. And so I was like, "Oh, that's cute." And I like the worn in ones. I'm into using and looking like I'm using my things like right now, right? And I went and checked it out, and then I looked at a whole bunch more boat and totes on eBay, and they were like $200-$300. I was like, that seems like a lot. So I went to the LL Bean website, assuming they were going to be more, and I was like, wait a minute, why are these $30? Like between 30 and like 60. Anyway, so here we are. So now I am in three deep at this point, but they're brand new. They're not like used and worn in and all that stuff, but I'm freaking loving them. And I'm loving the idea of less designer, but still it looking like super cute and chic and put together. And you could do so many things with these boat totes. Like you could put a whole bunch of charms on it if you want. You can put some twillies around the handles and maybe like make it a little bit more fancy. I don't know, but like there's a ton that can be done. You can put patches on it and make it look a little bit more like worn in, or like, I don't know, like different, you could put pins on it. I mean, there's so many things that you could do. It's like endless. And that's all I got for you. Anyway, that was really a long conversation about the boat and tote, but I'm loving it. And I'm loving less designer logos in general, which segues us into the next trend, which I'm absolutely loving. And I've been loving, I think, longer than it was a trend. I've been loving it forever, but I'm so glad that well, okay, that I don't know if I'm really so glad, but the vintage trend, or just like thrifting in general. I have always loved, I mean, I have been an eBay buyer and seller for portions of my life, but mainly like a buyer and Poshmark, but eBay since like 99. I want to say like 99 was like maybe my first purchase, like when I found out about eBay. I think eBay's been around for a few years longer than that, but I got on there with an account in 99. I sold sometimes over the years, but I have been buying consistently since 99. I also like, obviously now there's like Poshmark and there's like Depop and there's other places to purchase from, but ugh, I love a good hunt. Like I do. Now, on one hand, I love the fact that vintage is in, because there have been like times in my life where because I definitely feel like I'm vulnerable to the trend. There have been times where I've been like, oh, maybe I don't want it anymore because it's like really out. And I'm trying not to think like that anymore. But there was like a long period where, for example, Murakami, and I've heard of other YouTubers or other like creators in general explaining this to anyone that doesn't know. There was quite a few years, because I know a lot of like, I don't know about necessarily my audience, but a lot of the people that I speak to have only been purchasing bags maybe since like, I don't know, 15, 16, 17. There was a period of time between like maybe 2010, 11 or 12, like something like that, early 2010s to like 2020, I would say, give or take, or maybe even 18 or 19, where vintage Louis Vuitton, like the Murakami pieces, were just not it. Nobody wanted them. They were very, very cheap. For example, the Cherry Speedy that now goes for $5,000 on, Fashion File or any platform. They were giving that thing away. You could find it easily for under $1,000. There was quite a few things. The first time around that I bought my fringe Speedy, I hate to say this, guys, it was $1,500. The first time that I bought the black Murakami fringe Speedy, it was $1,500 from somebody on a Facebook group. I have gotten a million deals like that over the years that I have sold like a stupid, like just so stupid. But that being said, I'm on one hand, I'm loving that people are now appreciating the old stuff, because honestly, the vintage Louis Vuitton, like the Y2K of it in general, is like absolutely the most. I think we can all agree that it was probably one of the most insane fashion eras that have ever existed, and that we could all come together and like appreciate it now. I'm sorry, however, that it took me this like revival for me to be like, wait a minute, I do love that stuff and I'm going to buy it back. And I'm also sorry that it took that, it took it, that it took that because now it's more expensive because everybody else is on this train as well. And that sucks. I wish I had held strong to my, you know, to my laurels at that point, been like, that's like, this is just, these are amazing and I love them and I'm going to keep them and I don't care, because I also sold them for very little sometimes. So I love that. The next one, segueing from vintage into more vintage, is just not only vintage because I'm loving, like, for example, I've always loved like vintage Chanel from the 90s. I think that was Chanel's best era. And I think Louis Vuitton's best era was like the early 2000s. And I'm loving the fact, obviously, that people are thrifting. And actually, before I move on from the vintage, because it's going to segue into this, I'm excited about the fact that not only are we looking at like designer vintage, but we're looking at like thrifting and things like that in general. Now, while I do think that it's harder to thrift now than like when I was in like eighth grade, I would say we were very into like thrifting. We were very into thrift stores. There was quite a bunch like in the village when I grew up, and like some great ones. And I had like a lot of like, Levi's like 517s I would get vintage. I have some pictures somewhere. One day I'll show you guys. But I used to get a lot of like the 70s shirts, like with the big collar and like the 70s prints, like very polyester, lots of polyester. I got a lot of that. And like those gas station shirts with like, if you guys remember, or like it was like either, yeah, I guess it was like, we could call it like gas station shirts, where it had like the name of somebody here and like the gas station that they worked for, whatever. I had those in like, eighth grade or whatever. I used to love those. We used to get like 70s style, like ring around, like the colorful collars, like the color collars. I don't know. What do you call that? Whatever. Anyway, I love the fact that I know it's different now, and especially like when I've been into like Goodwill, for example, which is not really my thing. I have to find like a better vintage store to shop at. I found a few, but like Goodwill is not my thing because the majority of it, while it is cheap, yes, it is also like a lot of Shein, a lot of Zara, a lot of H&M. So it's not really, I feel like, what I'm looking for. It's a lot of fast fashion. However, I do like the fact that this allows us in general as a whole to get back to personalized style. And I think that's another trend that I'm loving. So it's not even just vintage, but I feel like this kind of segues into it. It's not even just vintage. It is just the like personalized style. I love, and I don't know if it is like just where I am. New York has always been a place that is very focused on people having their own personal style. I think that has died down over the years. When I was growing up, we had like these crazy characters, and obviously there was no Instagram, there was no social media, there was no online, but you had these crazy characters like Adam Purple. I don't know if anybody here is from New York or from the Village, and they may or may not remember Adam Purple, but he was this guy that literally wore mostly purple. He was definitely like an old hippie, and he would, in the middle of the night, go around the village and he would paint purple footprints all over the place. And as a little kid, I used to follow the footprints. Like I used to love finding them and like following them. And they wouldn't necessarily lead to anywhere. I mean, I don't think they did. Maybe they led to like a garden or something. Who knows? But like it was just very focused, New York specifically, on personal style and like quirkiness, and like all of that was okay. And I think nowadays, obviously, with the rise of social media and just being online in general, even when people are trying to be themselves and have their own personal style, it's very hard when all of these mom and pop or like small businesses that I grew up with personally, because I didn't go to a mall when I was younger. When I was growing up, it was all about like these little boutiques in the village, little stores. You had Patricia Fields, you had Oh my God, there were so many. Liquid Sky, I've posted about this before. You had X Girl, there were so many like in the 90s, Antique Boutique. There were so many great, like really, really great little boutiques that like were nowhere else in the world, right? But they were there. And you were able to find like one-off pieces. And now that corporate America and just like these hedge funds and these, this is a whole other conversation, but these big companies that have like bought up all the real estate and have raised rent to a certain, to crazy amounts that don't allow for small businesses to even take root anymore and survive. We're all we all have to now shop at Zara and H&M. And while we make do, obviously, it does lead to a place where we all literally wear the same freaking thing because, Zara is everywhere. It's international. H&M everywhere. Like, think about what's in your mall or what's on the streets, even in New York or Chicago or Miami. It is the same crap over and over and over again. And so, coming back to like personalized style and vintage, because I think it really goes hand in hand to a certain extent. I think that we're getting to a point where people are so bored of seeing the same thing over and over again that the emphasis right now has been on personalizing your style, maximalism to a certain extent, and vintage allows people to kind of it makes it possible, vintage stores, but also like Depop, Poshmark, things like that make it possible for us to find special pieces that really no one else is going to have, or most people are not going to have. And I'm loving that trend. I'm loving not wearing what everybody else is wearing. There's been times in my life that I wanted to fit in, absolutely. And there's been times many, many more times in my life where I'm like, I really want to have everything that nobody has. And I feel like as a whole, we're kind of back there. And I'm hoping that this doesn't go away because even if I don't like someone's styles specifically, I love looking at fashion. I've talked about this before. I spent a lot of my childhood. So I'm an only child. And not only am I an only child, but I don't have any cousins that are my age. Like my oldest cousin was born when I was 16. So I really grew up very much alone. And I grew up with the adults, right? My parents and my aunt and uncle. And we would, like, as summer nights, we would go have dinner, like, I don't know, on like Bleecker Street or whatever. This is back in the day before shit got so expensive over there. But we would go and we would have dinner and we would sit outside. And my favorite thing to do was people watch. It's always been to people watch. And now I feel like now I just kind of watch people on Instagram. But I always loved that. And that being said, like I would just like, that's where I would get like my inspiration from in terms of what I wanted to wear was just like watching people walk by, watching what they would wear, watching how they would move, things like that. And I feel like we're kind of hopefully coming back to that where I just find it so interesting, like I said, to watch people and see what their style is. And it doesn't matter to me if I like your style or not. Like if I would wear it personally, I can appreciate style that's not my own on somebody else. And I can say like, yeah, I might never wear it, but like it looks great on you or it looks crazy on you, but I also enjoy that. Like it's all enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? I love that. So that being said, those trends, lend to that feeling of just being maybe I think we're so desperate to be excited about fashion again that I'm kind of holding on to this hope that this doesn't go away and this is the start of something hopefully beautiful. Fingers crossed, guys, because I think we're all really wanting some excitement in our fashion and just not even just what we wear, but what we see. Like my eyes are like desperate. My eyes and my brain are like desperate for some like exciting things to look at and enjoy. So next one is bag charms. So again, with the personalized style. Now, while I think everybody is on this bag charm train, I love bag charms. I do. I've always loved bag charms. I have a freaking huge box full of bag charms. Maybe one day we will do this. As you know, I'm on my way to 3,000 subscribers, and I'm giving away 3 Labubus once we get 3 plus Labubus once we get to 3,000. So this kind of goes with that as well. I I love the bag charm trend. I have always loved bag charms. Like I said, I have a huge like shoebox filled with bag charms and they're like spilling out. So one day we might go through that. A lot of my bag charms have always been like stuffed animals, Hello Kitties. I have a lot of like Sanrio bag charms. Now I have a bunch of Labubus, a bunch of crybabies. I think they're cute just because it kind of always has fit my aesthetic. I have not necessarily always worn them. I have gone through phases where I have like been into them and not into them, but it's always been something that I've like collected. I have a bunch of like Louis Vuitton charms as well, but most of them are just no name, like funky things that I have found like along the way, basically. Um, I love this bag charm trend though, and I love lots of bag charms. I think it's so interesting when I hear people say like how much they dislike a trend and they want people to stop. I don't understand the sentiment. I don't understand disliking something so much that you never want to see it, because whether or not I liked bag charms, I enjoy watching how people put together fashion. And so I always wonder, and this is not throwing shade at anybody in particular, it's just things that I have witnessed. I couldn't tell you who I've seen say these things, but I always wonder how like fashion YouTubers or like just content creators in general will come on here and say like how much they hate something and how much they don't want to see it anymore. For me, I might dislike something, and there are things that I dislike, right? But there's never a time where I'm like, oh my God, I never want to see that on somebody. Unless it's like maybe like your butt cheeks falling out of, and even that, like if you have it, shit, flaunt it. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm going to take that back. I like seeing people rock trends and enjoy it. And I like seeing how they're going to style it. So, like I said, I've seen people who are like, oh my God, I hate Labubus. Like, I want it to, like, I can't wait until this trend is over or whatever. It will be over, I promise you. And at some point, nobody will ever want a Labubu again or whatever. And then, they'll put it in a box for 20 years and then we'll all be sorry in 20 years when we don't have one because it'll be $700 to buy it. So that being said, like, I don't understand that, because whether or not I like something has nothing to do with me enjoying, again, watching it on somebody else. So what I'm really liking about the bag charm trend is that I love watching how people are putting this together on their bags. Like, everybody's is just slightly different, right? So some people are doing like a ton of Labubus. Like I saw somebody in the mall the other day with like four of them on their bags. I've seen people just do one with like other charms. I've seen, like, you're never really going to find somebody who's wearing your same bag with the same exact placement of the bag charm. Or if you have multiples, like with all the exact same bag charms, like, it's always going to be slightly different. And I love that. And I'm like, the more the merrier, in my opinion. Like, I'm loving like the trend with just like a ton of funky and quirky bag charms. Yes. And like I said, I think if you have these bag charms, like, do not get rid of them, because at some point, yes, it won't be cute anymore. Believe me, when my mother used to tell me that everything comes around, I believe her now. Put them away, and I promise you, in 15 or 20 years, these things are going to be worth like a crazy amount of money. That's all. The last one, all right, because I'm going to stop while I'm ahead, because I feel like I'm talking your guys' ears off. The last one is butter yellow. I like yellow a lot. And I'm, not that this color is so like far-fetched. And I don't really, did I buy anything in butter yellow? No, I don't think that I have, but I love it. My daughter, I got her quite a few things in this butter yellow color. I I love yellow. I don't think that like we appreciate yellow as much as it should be appreciated. I love pretty much most shades of yellow. I think it's pretty universally flattering as a color, not necessarily in all the shades, but I do think it's flattering. I love yellow in general on people with dark hair. I think it looks really good. If you have a little bit of a tan, I think it looks really good. I'm loving the butter yellow, but I also love, like, I love neon yellow. We're not talking about all the other shades, but just so you know, my love of yellow, like, it runs deep. I do love yellow. I think it's kind of like the underdog color to a certain extent, you know? Just like I used to think green was the underdog color. Like I love yellow and green and I like them together actually, but I feel like yellow and green were always kind of like associated with like sickness kind of and you know like throw up or whatever right or like other things and but I think that they're like really good colors. So anyway, back to butter yellow. I think it is an extremely flattering color for most skin tones and most hair colors. I just think it is a soft, beautiful color. It makes everybody look like fresh and like pretty. And I'm liking it. Yeah, I think that I need to get something better yellow before, like, you know, because so many things, like if you go to the store right now, Zara has or had, I mean, because we're coming into fall. So I feel like this color is going to be dying down a little bit. So if you have not bought anything butter yellow, now's the time to jump on it. For me as well, I think I'm going to have to go grab something in butter yellow while the trend still exists, just so like I have it in my closet. But yeah, I'm loving it. So I figured we would end on like a girly note of butter yellow, even though I think guys can wear it too. Of course. I just think it's a nice soft color. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for listening to I feel like my long, really long chit chat. I didn't expect it to go that route, but so it did. Anyway, if you have not already subscribed, I would love it if you would, obviously, just hit the subscribe button. Again, I am trying to get to 3,000. We are not far off at all. So if you have not already checked out my giveaway video, I'm going to show you, I show you what I'm giving away. It's in the description. So you go click on that link, go take a look at the rules. Basically, all you have to do is subscribe. It'll go over that in more detail in the description though. And, yeah, let's get to 3,000 so I can give away 3 or more Labubus to somebody because like I said, that's an investment. In a few years, 15 to 20, it will be worth some money. I really believe that. I do. Okay, that's all, guys. If you haven't already liked the video, please give me a big thumbs up. I truly, truly appreciate it. Also, I'm going to leave my Instagram handle right over here because if you follow me on Instagram, that is also another way to enter the drawing, the giveaway. You have to be subscribed here, but if you go follow me over there, that's just an extra entry into the giveaway. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Other than that, I am going to leave you with another video right over here in case you have not already seen it, but you would like to keep watching. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.